From high atop the historical hall building in beautiful downtown Coos Bay, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. And ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County, how you doing out there? What a beautiful rainy day we're having. Another feast for the festivals, I tell you. So I hope you're all joining us. It's going to be a great session today. I've got another good guest coming on, and it was an incredible weekend for me. Anyone who knows that knows my show, knows what I've been doing for a long time. You know I'm an activist by heart, and I'm never going to stop being an activist, or being a radio show host is just like a second gig for me. But the thing I like to do is being involved with actually creating change all around the community, and not only in my community, but trying to bring that forward to the state and maybe spreading nationwide. And one of the things we're doing right now is the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. And I can tell you right now, it's really taking off in Washington. This was a very weird weekend for me. It was a very high, low roller coaster ride of a weekend. I had to bury a friend this weekend, Tom McCurgan, who many of you know. Tom McCurgan is a longtime activist here in Coos County and in Douglas County. In fact, if it wasn't for him, Douglas County may not even have had the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance presented or put it on the ballot, because he was the one who took that and led the charge. And so we should thank Tom for everything that he has done for us in our community. And it was a very great memorial that we had. Kevin Sterrett from Oregon Firearm Federation, the groups from the Oregon Three Percenters and the Oath Keepers were there. A lot of good patriots, a lot of good friends, old friends I haven't seen in a while, new friends that I just got to meet. And we're going to be basically taking what Tom did and continuing with that, because that's what good activists do. Tom wouldn't want us to stop, and I hope you're not going to stop. And remember this, anyone who thinks that there's nothing that can be done, then you're thinking in a very narrow, limited thought process, because there are a lot of things that you can do. There are a lot of things that you can do as activists, and you don't even have to leave your house. If you have access to a computer, and if you've got a computer at home, let's say you're quadriplegic, but yet you have access to a computer and you can still operate that computer, you can still be an activist at your house. And one of the things that you can do is start contacting your representatives, because there's a new bill that it's not even a new bill, it's an old bill that was a firearms bill that they're going to be talking about tomorrow in Salem, and later on the show I'll be talking more about that. But it's something that you could do as an activist at home. You don't have to do a whole lot to be active and to be helpful in this group. And many of you, if you just would write a letter to the editor, if you would just put your information that we're trying to spread out there and share it on Facebook, that's being an activist. I mean, in certain parts, I know people are going, oh, well, then I'm a Facebook activist. I share all the time. But you know what I'm saying? If you're sharing stuff that's good quality political information, that's helpful to people like me. And you can find good stuff out there. If you want to find out more information on what we're doing, go to the CoosCountyWatchdog.com website. That's CoosCountyWatchdog.com. Or you can go to CoosNews.com. That's Jim Bice's website. Both of those have great amount of information on them. The other place you can go is the Oregon Firearm Federation. Another good place to find out a lot of different laws that are coming down. And once again, we'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show. The other thing that I did this weekend, is I traveled up to Washington to Battleground. I love the name of that town, Battleground. And we were at the memorial, the war memorial, and it was a beautiful memorial. And the placards on it gave a lot of reference to the different wars, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the World War II. And the World War II placard on that memorial, it talked about the people of Germany who caused World War II, and they didn't just call them fascists. They called them the Nazi Socialist Party on the placard. Nazis, National Socialists. Socialism and fascism are the same policy. They're just implemented differently. So don't be confused when people try to tell you that there's difference between the two ideologies. They're both the same, and the end is tyranny. But at that war memorial and battleground this weekend, I had Joey Gibson from Patriot Prayer. He's the one who set up this whole thing. And we had about 300 people show up. And it was really exciting because we all marched out to the main street of Battleground after having a few speeches at the memorial. And, I'd say for about a couple of hours, 300 people filled the sidewalks on all four corners of their main avenue there. And we celebrated. And it was beautiful. And it was such a rabble-rousing thing to do. I got so excited about it. I wanted to bring that here to Coos Bay. And so we're going to have a rally here in Coos Bay. I don't know the date yet. I don't know exactly who the guests are, but I know I've already talked to Joey Gibson about it. We're going to have Patriot Prayer come out here to Coos County. And we're going to have a rally on the boardwalk again, a Patriot Prayer rally. I'm going to probably schedule this on a Sunday because I think it would be a good day to have this. And this is going to be a big event, and we may plan a picnic afterwards or something that, to bring out people so we can meet each other. A lot of times we go to these rallies and we don't even talk to each other. But if we can meet each other at one of these picnics, it helps build up the fraternalness of the group. And so that's just some of the things that I've been doing weekend. And we're getting ready to go to a commercial here. Well, not quite yet. But there is something else I want to mention. We're trying to eat up some time here. We're trying to get things corrected. I don't know if you all know this. The studio here at KWRO and Bicoastal Media, we're going under a little bit of a change. They're redoing a lot of the studios. They're taking down some of the ugly wood paneling that they have around here, and they're putting up some paint, and they're putting in new carpeting. So if I sound a little disheveled, it's because we're dealing with a lot of remodeling. That's right. We're remodeling the radio station. So that's why we're having a little bit of differences that are going on right now. But you can bear with me. And so we're going to go ahead and go to a commercial now. And when we get back, I'm going to have a guest. His name is Jeff Reynolds. He's an author. And with that, we'll be right back.
Hi, Danny here at Far West Tire and Auto. Do you feel like you're constantly on the go? From daily commuting, dance recitals, and weekend adventures? I'm sure your tires have never let you down, but that much time on the road can cause some wear and tear on your tires. It might be time to consider upgrading to Nokians. With the 50,000-mile warranty on select Nokians, you can hit the road in style. So stop on by Far West Tire and Auto on Highway 101 Coos Bay. Always the right tire, always the right price.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Cumyons on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at GibbsRV.com.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Thank you for joining me again. I appreciate it. We are going to be talking with a gentleman here who is very active in the Convention of States. It's a new process that we're trying to go through, and I enjoy it when people try to take on new endeavors and they try to take on new challenges. And the Convention of States group has taken Article 5, and they have used the original interpretations to be able to try to get a Convention of States going, which is different from a convention of a constitutional convention, and I'll have Jeff explain it when he gets on here. And one of the things that I want to go over is, before we start into this conversation, is that most people don't even know what Article 5 says, and I'm going to read it here. It's not very long, and in fact, I encourage everyone to read the Constitution once in a while. I have people come up to me all the time and say, "Oh, this is in the Constitution." I'll have to go, "No, that's not in the Constitution. Have you read the Constitution?" And then I'll pull out my pocket copy of the Constitution and show them that that's not, whatever they're saying is not in there. But in Article 5, let me read this. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes. As part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage and the Senate. The most part of this, the biggest part of this is the first couple of sentences, and that's whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states. And then it goes on to say, shall call a convention of proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes. Now, when we get Jeff on here, I'll let him go further into explaining some of that, because I know he's been working on this a long time. And this is something that this is the first time that this is being proposed. And I'm very happy to be part of this movement, because this is something else that I think would help us if we got 2/3 of the states to get together and decide to, maybe balance the budget, maybe to enforce immigration laws. Those things would be great. And Jeff, are you with me right now?
I am. Thank you for having me on, Rob. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. I know you're an activist and you're an author. You wrote the book Behind the Curtain, and I have to be honest with you, I haven't read it, but I was reading the cover of it, and I'm going to get a copy of it because I was very intrigued with it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have been an activist here in Oregon on the conservative side for about 10 years. I got started with the Tea Party movement, and I've turned that into a pretty satisfying writing career. I write for PJ Media, center-right outlet, and then I also write for the Heartland Institute on tax and budget policy and public policy stuff. And yeah, I just came out with my first book this past last month. It's been out just over a month now, so I'm thrilled with that, and the response, the buzz has been really building. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Now that book, it's the way I read it. It was talking about the leftist billionaires club and the way that they have been passing around dark money to influence our elections, more so than probably Russia and the Russia collusion, and they were doing it as a means to destroy Donald Trump. Could you tell us a little bit about that without giving away your whole book?
Yeah, totally. I couldn't give away the whole book in 3 hours. There's just so much money and there's so much coordination, and they are doing this on purpose. It's very clear that they are coordinating the resistance to Donald Trump. In fact, there was a donors conference on inauguration weekend, January of 2017, as Donald Trump was being inaugurated. These leftist donors were meeting and passing around a memo called the Plan to Kick Donald Trump's Butt. And it was a 40-page memo in which they bragged about having, working directly with Facebook and Twitter and Google and having their raw data and making it clear that they were not going to allow Donald Trump to be normalized and be considered a legitimate president. They were planning his impeachment before he was even inaugurated. So I go through and look at all of the foundations that are granting hundreds of billions of dollars every year to far left organizations that are leading these protest movements. It's quite a bit of information, and it's really hard to distill it down into one small tome that's digestible. So it took a while for me to kind of put it all together, but I'm pretty pleased with the results.
I got a question for you. Why do you think that some of these billionaires, and they obviously became billionaires, most of them through capitalist endeavors, why are they so much into promoting this socialist agenda?
I get that question quite a bit, and I don't know the answer to the question, but if I were to play pop psychologist for a bit, I think that there's really some sort of guilt over amassing such incredible wealth, and so I think that in their minds they feel like they have to atone for being successful, but what ends up happening is they slam the door on other people who may want to be just as successful as they are. So it's really hypocritical of them to and that's why I wanted to write the book, right? Is because we see so much hypocrisy on the left, referring to the Republican Party as the party of billionaires and being beholden to dark money, and people like AOC and Nancy Pelosi are out there screaming about campaign finance reform and all that stuff, but they're the ones that are doing all this stuff. It's classic projection.
And my favorite part is every time they create new laws, guys like me who are, doing our own books for our own political action committees, we just get, burdened with more regulations for these finance reporting things. But yet these guys, because they're being supported by these billionaires, they can hire accountants and attorneys to navigate the laws. And that's a bigger problem for me when they create these regulations. Don't you think about that? Wouldn't that sound about right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I talk about that in a chapter of the book, that the sue and settle phenomenon, especially as personified by the EPA, they stack the agency with people who are friendly to these radical clubs like Sierra Club and all the rest of the environmental groups, and then those environmental groups sue the EPA. They work stuff out in arbitration. And the EPA writes the rule based on the judge's order without ever being accountable to the voters, to the will of the people. So that's why the EPA is so out of control. And so one of my biggest frustrations is when Republicans when we elect a Republican president, they don't do what the Democrats do, which is immediately go in and fire everybody and stack the agencies with their own people. Instead, they ignore that issue and move on. We have to clean house. That's really what the swamp is all about,
And that's something I've noticed. And you're right that's something that the Republican Party has a nature to do. They go in and they want to compromise and play, the good guy and not fire the whole crew. But yet, like you said, when the left goes in or the Democrats go in, it's like you said, they clean house because they know once they put in a bureaucrat, it's almost impossible to get away with them. And I wonder why the Republicans aren't as active as far as cleaning house. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know, but I will say it's happening at all levels. Did you happen to see Bev Clarno's first action as Secretary of State?
Yep.
Yeah,
she's fired several people.
Staffers?
Yep, people that we knew were good conservatives.
Right.
Some of them.
And the reason Dennis put them in was to reflect the will of the voters and to carry out the policies that he ran on. And the fact that Clarno removed these people is a clear indication to me that the fix was in. That was the agreement ahead of time to get her appointed. And Keith Brown, my suspicion, this is pure speculation on my part, but I think she's really embarrassed by all these audits that are going on, showing the incompetence and corruption all throughout the state agency.
I would agree with you.
Squash it.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with you because Dennis was doing a lot of different, like you said, audits on different programs and different agencies, and all of them always seem to reflect badly upon the governor and her administration. And so, yeah, I totally get what you're saying, that behind the scenes, I'm sure that there was, we don't know, but it's speculation. But, we know how politics works. We know how these people play. I got a story for you. I know you'll like this. It's a quick story. We have a millionaire out here. I don't know. He may be a billionaire. His name is Michael Kaiser, and he owns the Dunes Golf Course. And he's a big environmentalist, and he's always given money to the Sierra Club and to all these different environmental groups. In fact, he started his own group here. I think it's I can't remember what the name of the group is, but they're always fighting against private property and always pushing these land grabs by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and stuff. But he wants to build a hotel in Bandon. And he's been trying to do this, and guess who's been fighting him? The same environmentalist groups that he's been giving to for the last gosh knows how many years. And I think the irony here is just so funny that even they eat their own when they're not lining up with the same, ideological beliefs, So I thought you would enjoy that story. He's, that's something that's going on here. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that a lot of times they invest in this stuff because they're looking for a financial return as much as changing the world. It's not as much about the cause as the bottom line.
Yeah, and in fact, it was funny. Some of the times when the BLM goes for land grabs or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, they use some of that land as mitigation property for industries in other areas. And so, they say, oh, look, we're mitigating and offsetting all this pollution, but yet they're not telling people how they're destroying the economy of small rural areas. And that's the sad part that's going on out here. I don't suppose if you got a few minutes, we got to do a commercial, and when I get back, I'd like to talk about Article 5 and the conventions of states, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I would love to. I really appreciate that opportunity because we just have some news today, so we need to talk about it.
Great. All right. Well, with that, we'll be right back.
Hey, don't be left standing in the dust. Take the lead with the help of Tom & Giggs 4x4 Performance Parts and Service. Off-road truck parts, lift kits, accessories, and more. Whether it's hitting the dunes, slinging some mud, or hitting the mountains, Tom & Giggs can definitely help you get your rig ready for your next adventure. What are you waiting for? Get it to Tom & Giggs Automotive next to Moe's Car Wash in Empire, Coos Bay, or visit TomandGiggs.com. Bigger is better.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Think you can't manage the down payment it takes to purchase a new home? Think again. You could move into a $150,000 home with as little as $1,500 down with our 1% down payment option. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.19%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember, now available in stores everywhere. Statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All right, so I have insomnia, but I've never slept better. And what's changed? Just a pillow. It's had such a positive impact on my life. And, of course, I'm talking about MyPillow. I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep longer, and now you can, too. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-919-6090. Use the promo code Hannity, and Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, has the special 4-pack. Now, you get 40% off 2 MyPillow Premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Now, MyPillow is made here in the USA, has a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and a 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com right now or call 800-919-6090, promo code Hannity, to get Mike Lindell's special 4-pack offer. You get 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for 40% off, and that means once those pillows arrive, you start getting the kind of peaceful and restful and comfortable and deep healing and recuperative sleep that you've been craving and you certainly deserve. MyPillow.com, promo code Hannity. You will love this pillow.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. We're joining Jeff Reynolds, an author, activist here in Oregon. He's someone who's been fighting for the Convention of States, and we were just talking about that beforehand, and we're going to get a little bit of an explanation from Jeff. What's that all about?
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity. And we have a resolution in a Senate bill that we just found out today has been assigned to the Rules Committee, and that's really significant because if you don't get your bill assigned to a committee, then it basically dies.
Right.
So our bill is actually alive and well, and it's going to be considered by the Rules Committee first, and we're hopeful that we can get it advanced before the end of the session. So this is a historic day, actually, for the state of Oregon, because that's the first time since 1977 that we've advanced an application for a convention of states. And now back in 1977, Oregon was a little bit more conservative, and they joined the national movement to consider a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would require the U.S. Budget to be balanced, basically. And that was a movement that came within a whisker of happening. So we are very excited about this, that we're on the cutting edge once again. The application has been approved actually by 15 states so far. And so it's the momentum is really building. And this is an application to call there's a lot of misconception about this and a lot of misinformation. It's to call a convention to consider amendments to the Constitution.
Right.
Now, there's no mechanism that exists that it would allow that convention to turn into a full-blown constitutional convention where we would rewrite the Constitution, make us a socialist country, or whatever the accusation is. We would simply be applying for amendments. And the amendments I'll just read you Section 1. The legislature of the state of Oregon hereby applies to Congress under the provisions of Article 5 of the Constitution for calling of a convention of the states limited to proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United States that impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and limit the terms of office for its officials and for members of Congress.
Oh, that sounds like some good stuff. I'd like to see a lot of that happen. And
yeah.
The thing that's nice about this, and like you said, a lot of people were worried that when I talked to them about this, that this is a a constitutional convention, and I have to explain to them that no, the last thing we would want to do in this environment is have a constitutional convention, because there would be too many ways that things could go wrong. But like you said, this is just adding amendments to the Constitution that will have to be ratified by 2/3 of the state, correct?
3/4 of the states, actually.
3/4 of the state, right.
Right. So the flip side of that very coin is that 13 states could get together and stop any amendment.
Right.
It's a pretty high bar.
That's a real high bar. But, you think about how the Electoral College was used so successfully this past electoral cycle. This is something that may be of great interest to people who are conservative and who would like to wrangle in some of the spending and overreach by the government. So I could see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
I mean, one of the proposals is to greatly redefine the Commerce Clause, because Commerce Clause has really been abused by the big government statists who want to who use that clause to justify the ever-expanding size and scope and role of the federal government. So reining that in would really rein in a lot of what the federal government does.
I've always thought that and this is something that's not in the Bill of Rights, is I thought they should always talk about our right to commerce. That's something that doesn't really get mentioned a lot, but the Commerce Clause, that's supposed to be the federal government being able to regulate the trade between the states. But the thing is that a lot of times they're almost eliminating trade or causing less of a free market with that clause. And I thought if they had something like your right to commerce, your ability to be able to go out and participate in the market, to me is a fundamental natural right. And so that's something that I thought should be mentioned in something in the Bill of Rights. What would you think on something like that?
Yeah, weren't there? And my memory is faulty on this, so forgive me. But there were two other amendments that were originally included in the Bill of Rights that were not ratified. So it was originally going to be 12 amendments, not 10. Forgive me again if I'm wrong here, but I think one of them dealt with property rights. Did it not? So it kind of makes sense based on the original intent of the framers anyway. So I think, I honestly think that would be pretty popular among most voters and most legislatures that would ratify something like that.
I think you're right. I would agree with you, and I think a lot of people, because like you said, the Commerce Clause has been something that's been used against the citizens overall. So a lot of those issues are not left or right; they're really kind of centralist positions.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. The Convention of States Action Fund or the Convention of States Organization did a simulated convention actually back in 2017. Where every state sent 3 delegates to Arlington or Alexandria, Virginia, and it was presided over by Ken Ivory, who's a state legislator from Utah. A lot of folks may be familiar with him with his Western Lands Project.
Right.
And they came out with, I think it was half a dozen amendments proposed that they would then send to the state legislatures for ratification. My favorite one of those was the repeal of the 16th Amendment, which authorized and created the IRS.
Right.
So imagine that would immediately restore the 10th Amendment, right? Because the dynamic would be the federal government would have to come to each state and apply and ask for their level of funding of the federal government instead of just taking it directly from the citizens.
Right. I like that idea. That's another good one. Now, this is something that has been tried before, but has never been done. And I know you kind of touched on that from when they tried it back in, I think you said 77. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So in late 70s, early 80s, this was a movement that was actually supported by President Reagan, among many other conservative luminaries who were trying to get the federal government under control then. So they attempted to do a balanced budget amendment the Article 5 convention process, and they got very close. And this has happened actually many times in the past. And we've never actually gone all the way to a convention, but applications have been tried dozens of times. And every time it gets pretty close, like the one in the 70s, got up to, I think, 32 states maybe that applied for a convention to consider a balanced budget amendment. Congress will then step in and say, oh, these guys are serious. We better get our version of the amendment out there before they actually call their convention. So that's what happened. And we got very close to a balanced budget amendment in Congress being sent to the state legislators. And it was actually Mark Hatfield, our Republican senator here in Oregon, who was the final no vote on that. Otherwise, it would have passed.
Wow, that's some interesting history there. Thank you for enlightening us. That's I did not know that. That's some very interesting stuff. You think you know history, and then there's always that little extra niblets that you get that just blows you away. So. To me, it sounds like, if you back in that time when they tried it last time and they triggered to have for them to start discussing the U.S. Congress to start discussing a balanced budget, even though nothing ever really came of it. It seems like 2/3 of the state should have some kind of compact to offset the federal government every time, they need something done. Just get together, start, saying we're going to have a convention of states, and maybe the feds will start working on it. Maybe if 2/3 of us, started working on an immigration bill to actually enforce immigration laws. I don't know how that would work, but.
That's my biggest reason for supporting this movement is because in America, we have a real deficit of knowledge of civics and our own Constitution. And I think this sort of an action would force everybody to really pay attention and start understanding what the Constitution actually says. It would be a gigantic experiment in self-governance if we could do this without Congress's approval. And that's why I want to do this, is to get us back to that concept of self-governance. As a friend of mine put it, if we don't support the idea of a convention of states for amendments, then we've given up completely on the very concept of self-governance.
And we acquiesce the power of the states, and that's even worse.
Exactly right.
Right? Yeah, that's bad because once you lose that, it's almost impossible to ever get that back.
Right. The 10th Amendment is supposed to. There's a very good reason why it exists, but it doesn't have an enforcement mechanism. That's what the Article 5 Convention really is an enforcement mechanism for the 10th Amendment.
And we're so lucky the founders were smart enough to once again put in a check and a balance so that we actually have that mechanism to exert the people's authority. Hey, do you have a few more minutes? I got to do a commercial and a giveaway, and then we can come right back and talk some more.
Yeah, I've got a couple minutes, but I got to pick up my daughter from school here. So.
All right. Well, this won't take long. We just got a commercial, and I'll be right back, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
All right. We're going to have a quick giveaway. If you are a big fan of the show, you know we do these giveaways, and we have a giveaway for McDonald's. There's 4 of them. One in Reedsport, which I just went to this weekend. Clean bathrooms, good service, can't complain. We got one in Coos Bay, we got one in North Bend, and you got one at Walmart. And if you want to win a free breakfast sandwich of your choice, a free dessert of your choice, or a free small McBeverage of your choice, and a sheet of buy one, get one free coupons, all you have to do is be the third caller at 541-267-2124.
Well, I was driving across town when my car got down, started lurching and trying to die. Well, luckily there was a shop, and when it struggled to a stop, a nice fella met me right outside. I said, "Man, something's wrong. What the heck is going on?" He said, "I tell you this, I got no doubt. You just relax and don't you worry. We can fix it in a hurry, 'cause your car is what we're all about. We do it all."
Bayshore Auto and RV Repair, your one-stop shop for all your automotive and RV mechanical repairs. Stop by and see Jeff and his friendly staff on Bayshore Drive in Coos Bay.
There's no reason to guess. The verdict is in, and the solid winner continues to be Herbal Choices.
I think everyone knows why Herbal Choices is the leader.
You and I see Herbal Choices the same way, like a part of our family. They know me when I come in, and they're always happy to show me all that's new, including Jim Belushi's new harvest.
Hi, Jim Belushi here. My Belushi Farms private vault is exclusively here, Southern Oregon coast at Herbal Choices. Check it out. It's the only choice.
And no matter where you are, Herbal Choices is close by. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. They always keep me updated on their website at www.theherbalchoices.com.
No one can compete with Herbal Choices prices. They now have so many locations that they buy large quantities and pass the savings along to their customers. It's their people, friendly, always ready to help with knowledgeable answers. It's like dealing with family.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. We're talking with activist and author Jeff Reynolds, and he was telling us about the Convention of States. And Jeff, I know you got just a limited amount of time. Could you tell us how can people get involved, get in contact with you, and what they can do about this whole thing that's going on?
Yeah, so what we want everybody to do is go to conventionofstates.com, and right there at the top, there's a petition that you can sign that asks your local legislator to support the Convention of State application. So you enter in your name, your location, and it'll tell you who your legislator is, who your state rep and state senator are, and it'll add your name to the petition. And we're going around to every single one of these politicians and telling them, hey, there's 800 people in your district that have signed this petition. That this thing has wide support, and it's bipartisan support, by the way. It's not a Republican effort or a Democrat effort. we've got a lot of Democrats, we've got a lot of independents, we've got everybody that's on board with this, because even folks from all sides can see that the federal government is completely out of control.
Who are the sponsors of this bill? Do you know?
Brian Boquist is our sponsor. He's a Republican out of the McMinnville area. And Kim Thatcher is also a huge supporter of ours. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show. I don't want to keep you any longer. I know how important it is to get there and pick up the kids from school.
That's right.
Right. What a good dad. You know what I mean? We need more good dads like you, Jeff. That's what we need. I used to get mad because I volunteered for the school, and none of the other dads would actually volunteer for the class time. You could get them to be coaches and stuff, but it was hard to get them in the class time to read to the kids and educate them on different things. And so, I always encourage dads to do that. And so I'm glad you're out there being one of those good dads, and I appreciate you coming on the show. All right, you take care.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, that was Jeff Reynolds from the Convention of States. I recommend you go over to their website and check it out. You could just Google it, Convention of States, and it's something that I think, like he said, has bipartisan support. It does not change the Constitution. All you're doing is trying to add amendments to it. And like he said, I think there's a lot of Democrats out there, a lot of non-affiliated voters who would be more than happy to have a balanced budget, because right now we are living in $22 trillion in debt. You couldn't even fathom how much money that would be. If you had to pile that up, I wonder how much it would take just to pile up that much money, $22 trillion. And for each and every individual of us, we own that debt. That debt is from ours. That's the money we owe ourselves, and we spent it. We've overspent. Right now, we've got almost a $2 trillion deficit. And if you don't know the difference between a deficit and a debt, the deficit is what you spend throughout the year that's over the amount that you take in, which is added to the debt, which is what you have if you've been spending too much money every year and have been building up that debt. A lot of people, I hear them talk about debt and deficit, and I don't think they really understand or comprehend what they're doing whatsoever. I want to thank a person who sent me a beautiful card with beautiful flowers on it. Her name is Judy. I won't mention her last name, but she won the gift for the Lucky Star giveaway last week, and she wrote me a card and told me what a great prize it was. And so, Judy, I'm glad you had a good meal. And, yeah, that's a lot of food, like you said. So when you people hear these contests, we're not just messing around here. This is some really good stuff that we got going on. You get political therapy, and you can get fed all in one show. So what more could you possibly want? Well, I know you're going to want a little more information, and I got a little more information for you. Did you hear about this? The Supreme Court, the Supremes, they have refused to issue a stay to protect gun owners. What they have done is they refused to stop the stock ban, the bump stock ban that the ATF has put in, which comes from a direct order from the president. It's a presidential mandate. He's made criminals out of people who own these devices. I know most gun owners don't own these devices, and that's why they went after them. I think the president did it as a feel-good ban. He was trying to appeal to the left side of the aisle, and I think it was a very bad idea by the president. I think most of the time he has great decisions. I support the man on most of the things he does, but this was a really bad idea. Well, the Gun Owners of America has been fighting the ATF bump stock ban in the courts, and the GOA sought an emergency stay from the U.S. Supreme Court due to the fact the turn-in period for the bump stocks ended this past Monday. Sadly, on Thursday, the Supreme Court refused to halt the enforcement of the ATF's bump stock ban. The challenge is still alive, though. That's right, we're still alive with that challenge. But however, we're going to have to fight this in the lower courts. It is predicted that a large majority of the 500,000 bump stock owners, 500,000 of you just became criminals overnight, but 500,000 bump stock owners will refuse to turn in their property in what they view as an illegal, unconstitutional gun grab. That's right, 500,000 people, more than likely, the majority of them, at least 70% of them, because we know this because of the statistics in other states, will not comply, meaning they are willing to live as a criminal rather than to give up what they believe is a part of their right to defend themselves and their country from whatever they believe is a threat, such as anything foreign or domestic. Well, the ATF regulations define bump stocks as machine guns and seriously implicate the right to own AR-15s and many other semi-automatic firearms with that. The GOA will continue to fight the issue in the court system. As the case now returns to the lower courts, the GOA remains convinced that the courts will find the ban unlawful. And I imagine if it does eventually get through the lower courts, the Supreme Court may have to hear that case. So hopefully they will stop that ban, and the presidential mandate will fall down. It was very depressing that the president did that, and he's probably not a gun owner. He probably doesn't realize what these things mean to people, but it's just a sad state of affairs. But there is some good news on the horizon. The federal court finds California magazine ban violates the Second Amendment. Well, I didn't need a Supreme Court to tell me that, or a federal court. This hasn't gone to the Supreme Court yet. In fact, it's a lower court. In one of the strongest judicial statements in favor of the Second Amendment to date, Judge Roger T. Benitez, I hope I'm pronouncing that right because I don't want to dishonor this man, but his name is Roger T. Benitez of the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of California, determined on Friday that Californians' ban on commonly possessed firearm magazines violates the Second Amendment. And this comes from a case called the Duncan versus Becerra court case. And Judge Benitez has rendered his opinion late Friday afternoon and handed Second Amendment supporters a sweeping victory by completely invalidating California's 10-round limit on magazine capacity. Individual liberty and freedom are not outmoded concepts, he declared. That's coming from the judge. In a scholarly and comprehensive opinion, Judge Benitez subjected the ban both to the constitutional analysis he argued was required by the U.S. Supreme Court in District of Columbia versus Heller, and that was a very important case, if you remember, and a more complicated and flexible test in the Ninth Circuit has applied in prior Second Amendment cases. Judge Benitez ruled the law would fail, and indeed, he characterized the California law as turning the Constitution upside down. Yeah, we've been saying that for a while. The leftists have been turning our Constitution upside down. Well, he goes on. He also systematically dismantled each of the states' purported justifications for the law, demonstrating the factual and legal inconsistencies of their claims. Unfortunately, Friday's opinion is not likely to be the last word on the case because, there's going to be another judge. And this state will likely be appealed to, guess where? The Ninth Circuit District. Yeah, that's where all liberals go to die, which has been notably hostile to the Second Amendment in their past decisions. But in the meantime, Friday's order prohibits California from enforcing its magazine restriction, leaving its law-abiding citizens safer and freer. Now, why is that important to you folks out there in Oregon? Well, there's a bill on the books right now that's sitting right before our legislature, and that bill would limit the number of bullets you could have in a magazine. That means I think the limit right now they're going to try to put on is 10, and hopefully the courts are going to see the same opinion that Mr. Roger T. Benitez has come to, that this violates our Second Amendment rights. Who are they to tell you or to tell me how many bullets I could have in my gun? I mean, it's getting to the point where they're trying to micromanage our lives where we have no control left. It's something that we're going to have to put up with a long time because we've got nothing but leftists up there. We've got nothing but leftists in Salem, and these gun proposals are only going to get worse. At the top of the show, I mentioned one of the new the measures that they are coming out with up in Salem, and the new measure which they proposed. And this is one of those gut and stuffs. This bill originally had a paragraph to it, and one of the sentences in the paragraph said it involves firearms. So anytime it says that it involves firearms and it has just a little paragraph that doesn't say anything, that means it's going to be a gut and stuff. That means what happens is that it will go through the legislative process and no one's going to really pay much attention to it. And then when it comes to the committee, and going onto the floor to debate, all of a sudden they're going to gut it with all kinds of new rules and regulations that they're going to put on to your firearms and firearms accessories. But SB 978, which dumped yesterday, it's a -1 amendment to the bill, is probably one of the worst ones. It is a 44-page bill. That's right, 44 pages long, and it's just some of the horrible things that is going on. If this amendment is adopted, the bill will allow gun stores to refuse to sell firearms and ammunition to young adults. Like, that's age discrimination. What's the matter with you stores? So it would allow Bimart, Walmart, and Fred Meyer's to violate a young person's Second Amendment rights just because they're not 21 yet. And to me, that's ridiculous. I think that, we used to be able to drink in this country when we were 18. We vote when we were 18. It used to be 21, and they lowered the age. I think it's time that, and I'm the opposite thinking of a lot of people, I think these 18-year-olds can handle this responsibility. And you know how I know they can handle this responsibility? Go to any of your local military bases, and you got 18-year-olds driving million-dollar machines around, and they're doing a great job at it. These guys, young women, if you give them responsibility and you allow them to take that responsibility, you'd be amazed what you'd come up with. But this amendment would allow gun stores to refuse to sell to anyone between 18 and 21. If you're between the ages of 18 and 20, you should be angry right now. You should be very frustrated that they're taking away your right. Well, this bill goes even further. It exonerates gun dealers who violated our anti-discrimination laws, even if they did it before the bill was passed. Isn't that nice? They're going to give you a get-out-of-jail-free card for corporations that have already broken the law. Well, when we get back from this break, because you can hear the music, we're going to talk more about SB 978. And if you'd like to call in, please call in at 541-267-2124. And with that, we'll be right back.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. I'm glad you're joining me for the second hour of the Rob Taylor Show. And I was listening to that commercial, waffle and chicken. Wow, what a combo. Waffles and chicken. I don't know. It sounds so odd. I may have to go try that over at Dairy Queen. That's just a weird thing. Now, I guess Dairy Queen owes me for telling people about their chicken and waffles. But if you're listening to the radio station and you're listening on the radio, because you can get us live streaming at KWRO.com, if you can't get us on 6:30 a.m., flip over to the FM dial and try us on 101.1 FM, and you should be able to get us there. I know at some points when you're traveling, I get up to Reedsport, and I have to switch the AM to the FM station because it's hard to get that. And somewhere in between Bandon and Coos Bay, the AM station goes out. I have to play it on the FM, and then when it gets abandoned, the AM station is good again. So, that's just the different frequencies of the radio, and you're living in a very hilly area. There's a lot of hills, a lot of valleys, a lot of peaks. So these things just they interfere with certain the radio frequencies. So if you're listening on the radio, that's something you can do. I want to get back to talking about this bill that just dropped. Tomorrow I'll be up there in Salem to testify, and you have to do it even though you don't want to do it, and you know that when you're up there testifying that they're not even going to listen to what I have to say. They really don't care. It's just something that they give a lot of lip service to. Oh, we're listening, we're concerned. Yeah, you really don't care. We know, we get it. But we have to do this because that's how it gets put on the record. So in a future date, when they're looking back thinking, well, how did we lose their rights? Didn't anyone stand up to stop this? They can look back on the record and say, oh, yeah, I guess Kevin Sterrett did step up to speak against this. I guess Rob Taylor stepped up to speak against this. Yeah, I guess there were a lot of other people, who stepped up and to speak against this. And that's going to happen tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's in room 50 and downstairs. I recommend everyone, if you can show up, do show up, because they're going to stack the deck. You know how they do that, and that's that's even what's more frustrating when you get there and they've already brought in a bunch of people. Then usually they bus them in who are supporters of whatever right they're trying. I mean, whatever bill that's going to take away a right from you, and in this case, it's the Second Amendment right. So that's going on tomorrow, and one of the things we're going to be discussing, that we're going to be talking about, is SB 978. Now, this bill was a pretty innocuous bill just a few weeks ago. It just had one paragraph, and it said it was related to firearms, and it really didn't say much of anything. And then I think it was Friday, they stuffed it with a whole bunch of wild regulations, and I was just talking about that, the one that it does not allow. It will allow stores to refuse to sell ammunition and firearms to young adults, basically discriminating, age discrimination. We're so worried about discrimination in this country. We're so afraid of offending anyone who may be of the, a minority or of a protected person, such as a gay person or a black person. Look at that Jesse Smollett thing. He just got off scot-free. We're always worried about offending someone. Well, not you gun owners. We don't care if we offend you. That's right. That's how the legislature thinks. That's how Washington thinks. They really don't care about you, so don't pretend they do. And so when you get, if you get a chance to speak up, that would be a good place to go tomorrow in Salem at 8 in the morning. But this SB 978, it exonerates gun dealers who violated our anti-discrimination laws, even if they did it before this bill was passed. That means that all the people who are under 21 and over 18 who went to the store to buy a gun, and the store said, nope, we're going to perform age discrimination against you, which was a crime before this bill is even passed, and it hasn't been passed yet. They're already living in sin. They're already living as criminals, but we're going to exonerate them even though they performed age discrimination. I hope you 18-year-olds are listening to this. These are the same people who want to give 16-year-olds the vote, but yet they want to take away guns from 18-year-olds. Does that make any sense to anyone? Oh, we're going to give you the right to make the decisions that run the country, some of the most important things you can do, but yet you're not going to be allowed to own a gun so you can defend yourself or your country, unless you want to join the military. Yeah, and tells you what they think of you if you're 18 between 20 years old. I hope you're listening to some of this stuff. Now, here's one of the other things that this SB 978 requires. It requires that your self-defense firearms be locked up. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Under this bill, you can be prosecuted even if you did lock up your guns with a cable lock if someone has access to a device to defeat the lock, which, of course, everyone and anyone has access to tools. So anyone can defeat a gun lock. So basically, they've made you liable for anyone who breaks in your house and steals your gun, whether it's been locked in a safe and locked up with a gun lock, no matter if a cable lock. Even if you lock it up with a cable lock, even if you put it in your safe, someone breaks into your house, violates your rights, steals your gun, goes out and shoots somebody, you're somehow liable for it. I mean, how can that even be possible? I mean, how many times have we heard in the news that somebody will carjack somebody else or steal a car, go out and kill somebody in a high-speed chase? Are we going to make the person who got their car stolen responsible for the high-speed chase murder? Are we going to put people who aren't responsible for the actions of others and make them responsible for those actions? That's like giving a spanking to an adult because the kid throws a fit. And that's what we're doing here. And by the way, we are adults, and they're treating us like children. I'm far from being under the age of 21 and over 18. But I'll tell you what, if they treat 18 to 21-year-olds the way they're treating them now, I can't wait till I'm elderly. I can't wait till they treat me the way they're going to treat me when we all get old. But here's another one of those. They're going to hold gun owners responsible for 2 years for guns they transferred unless they could prove the transferred gun had a trigger or cable lock. This is one of the most insane ideas ever. And boy, they've come up with a lot of crazy ideas. Can you believe that? We're going to hold gun owners responsible for 2 years for guns that they have transferred if they can, unless they can prove that the transferred gun had a trigger or cable lock. How are you going to prove a negative? That's like proving Bigfoot. You have to prove Bigfoot before you can own a gun. That's right. That's basically the requirement now. If you own a gun, you better be able to prove there's a Bigfoot out there. Because if you transfer that gun and then somebody gets killed from it, you're now liable for it if there was no trigger lock on it. Isn't that absolutely insane? Are you listening to the rationale or the lack of it coming out of the legislators? You should be pretty damn upset by this. I know I am. Getting pretty angry about this. Well, this one here is a great one. It's going to hold gun owners responsible for crimes committed with the guns that were stolen from them. Yeah. That's, once again, I go back to the cars. Someone steals your car. They go out and they run into somebody and kill that person. Are we going to sue the person or hold the person who got their car stolen from them responsible for the actions of another individual? See, law is about justice. And it's unjust to hold somebody else responsible or accountable for the actions of another person. That's not law. That's injustice. That's what they're imposing upon us. Now get this. They're going to treat 80% of the lowers as complete guns, requiring background checks and registration. If the lower is transferred and has no serial number, the police need a detailed description of the lower. Isn't that great? And all of you gun fanatics know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people out there who build their own guns. And right now you can order a lot of the parts, the lower parts of the gun, without having to go through any background check or having to get the gun registered. And we do this for a reason, because we don't want the government to know how many guns we have. And that's because registration leads to confiscation. That's the only reason for the registration. So the ban is trying to ban undetectable firearms. It's trying to ban untraceable firearms. And then it's going to increase CHL fees because, you know, when you're trying to protect yourself or you're a woman who has a vicious boyfriend out there who's ready to beat you up, you want to be able to have to be charged the most amount of money that you can be charged to be able to own a gun that you can carry around so that other people don't see you're carrying a gun and that you can defend yourself. This is great. Having to pay more for self-defense. Well, I think we got a special guest on the telephone right now, and we're going to go. Nope. Okay, sorry. Let me continue here, because there was a lot of stuff. Like I said, there was 44 pages in that. I'll tell you what, we're going to need to go to a commercial first. See, I started ranting so much, I lost track of time. Well, we're going to hear from a few of our sponsors, and with that, we'll be right back.
I'm the third generation of our family-owned and operated business, Raging Coffee Company. For a quarter of a century, we have been providing some of the best coffee around. We are NOP certified organic by Oregon Tilt since 2007, and we make it easy by offering free shipping from our website, RagingCoffeeCo.com. That's RAYJEN CoffeeCo.com. You can find packaged coffee at historic Wilson's Market or the Beverage Barn in Bamton. Give it a try. Raging Coffee. You'll be hooked.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole-in-the-Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms. Hole-in-the-Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole-in-the-Wall Gun Shop across from Cumyons on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at GibbsRV.com.
Hi, Danny at Far West Tire and Auto here. Sometimes deer like to jaywalk, or even once in a while a basketball forgets to look both ways before bouncing across the street. When those moments happen, be ready for the stop with the Michelin Premier All-Season Tire, a tire design with more performance in mind. Far West Tire and Auto on Highway 101 Coos Bay. Always the right tire, always the right price.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County, thank you for joining me. We're talking about SB 978. Tomorrow it's going to come up before the legislature for discussion. We expect a huge crowd to be showing up. It's in room 50 in the downstairs in the basement. We recommend everyone get there early. Sign up to speak and make sure that your voice is heard, because they are going to take away your Second Amendment right, and it's done through incrementalism, folks. Sure, the first couple of laws sound good, and then the next laws, well, maybe not so good, but I guess we can live with it. And, well, the third law, well, it pretty much eliminates all the guns I own, but I still get to keep a little handgun, a little .38 with 5 shots. Oh, wait, they're going to take that away the next time around. Do you see where I'm going, folks? That's where we're getting to. We're getting to the point where one law after another is going to put this layer, this matrix of regulation upon every gun owner out there. And I don't mean to call you fanatics, because I know you're not fanatics. This is something that's very serious. This is something that's very serious because it goes to the protection of our country and, in fact, the establishment of our country. If we didn't have weapons to fight against the king, we'd all still be speaking with an English accent. You know what I'm saying? We'd be drinking tea and crumpets instead of beer and cake. So I hope you people are listening to what I'm saying, because there's so much out there that is happening that if you're not in tune with it, it's just going to pass you by, and you're going to wake up and go, what the hell happened to my freedoms? Well, let me go on with SB 978. And what was my last thing that was talking about? It bans undetectable firearms. It bans untraceable firearms. It increases CHL fees. It also allows cities, counties, and metropolitan service districts, airports, schools, colleges, and universities to ban CHL holders from public buildings. Oh, man, you see what they're doing? You see what they're doing? Incrementalism. First, they're going to ban you from all of the metropolitan buildings. And this just doesn't go for the cities, the counties. This is for all service districts as well. And then please note this bill does not say buildings owned by these entities. It says public buildings. Under this bill, a school in John Day could forbid you from carrying your firearm in a public building in Troutdale. You see how they work with these words? You see how they use that wordplay? Well, it would also, and this is SB 978, this would ban CHL holders from airports. No, not just the terminal, but the parking lots and grounds adjacent to the parking lots. That means if you're going to pick up Aunt Lydia flies into Coos Bay, into North Bend over there, and you go to the airport and pick her up. Nope, I've forgotten I have a gun in my trunk. God forbid me, I kept a gun in my trunk because, I wanted to protect myself for whatever reason I have, and now I'm a criminal. What are they doing, these liberals? They're always talking about how we want to, make it a safe and a more safe place. Well, how much more safer could it be than having a law-abiding citizen at the airport with a gun? Boy, I bet you all the people on the planes that were hijacked on 9/11, I know if I was sitting there on that plane waiting for them to fly, and of course I wouldn't be waiting, I'd be attacking someone, but even without a gun. But I bet you many of those people in 9/11 were sitting there thinking, man, I wish I had a gun right now. I wish I had anything that I could use to defend myself. There used to be a comedy, All in the Family, and they had an interview with the Archie Bunker. You all remember Archie Bunker? Hey, Archie! Well, Archie Bunker. Yeah, he did a commercial one time, and he was talking about how he would give every passenger on a plane a gun as they get on board, and then you would never have to worry about that hijacking. And it was a comedy skit. But the fact is if you gave everyone a gun on the plane, no one's going to hijack that plane, because as soon as anyone tries to make a move to hijack it, what's going to happen? Well, we know what's going to happen. We're going to lay waste to it. You pull out your box cutter, go right ahead. I got my 45. So guns don't make us less safe. It makes us more safe. Well, let's go back to this SB 978 that's happening. If you cannot be there in person tomorrow, please upload the testimony, and you can go that by going to your Oregon legislature website. You can contact the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. You can contact the senators who support your rights on the committee, Kim Thatcher, Cliff Bentz, Dennis Lithicum. Thank goodness Kim Thatcher and Dennis Lithicum and Cliff Bentz are on this committee. This is the Senate Judiciary Committee. The rest of them are opposed to your rights. They don't believe in your rights, and they don't give a damn what you say. And so you could you could really blame the person who's really leading the charge on this, and that's Senate President Peter Courtney. He's a real dirtbag. Let's just call him what he is. And at the end of this, Floyd Przansky is planning another anti-gun bill to be heard on April 8th. Great. Just what I want to do, some more traveling. I've been putting all kinds of miles on my car to try to get to a lot of these meetings. And by the way, I want to thank all the people out there who've donated to the Political Action Committee. I have a committee called the Committee to Preserve the Second Amendment, and anyone can donate to that committee. And I've sent out a newsletter, and anyone who wants to get on my newsletter, it's real easy. You can either go to our Facebook page, which is the Oregon Second Amendment Sanctuary, or you can go to the Rob Taylor Report on Facebook and like me on Facebook if you would, unless you don't like me. They should have a don't like and or a dislike and a like button, and that's and I'd be just as happy to see how many people dislike me, because then I'd know at least they dislike me, but they're listening to me, That's a good one. So that's always entertaining. So if you get a chance, SB 978. It's happening. It's happening right now. There's very little we can do about it, but hopefully if we get enough people to show up and that they see that everyone is not going to participate in this law because a lot of people aren't going to comply, maybe, just maybe, we'll get them to, can the bill or maybe cut it back to something. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go and testify, and I'm going to tell them exactly what I've been doing for the last couple of years, that I've been going from every county to county in Oregon, and now I'm hitting Washington. And I can tell you right now, when I go to these counties, I'm meeting a lot of great gun owners out there, law-abiding citizens who do not want to be turned into criminals. I don't think the legislature knows about the rural people out there who are just waiting for these laws to pass because they're going to hold onto their guns. They're not going to comply. I can't tell you not to break the law, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to break the law if they tell me I can't own my guns. I'm going to keep them. I'm not going to comply. I refuse. We're done. We're adults. It's over with. And you know what? Like I said last week, they're so worried about what's going to happen. Well, guess what? We've been out there target practicing, out there learning how to use our guns, and you guys can't even figure out which bathroom to use. That's where you're at. And then you're trying to tell us what bathrooms we have to use. And then you want to tell us whether you want to take our guns or not? They're crazy. We're being led by the crazy. Well, I'm going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to go to a little bit different subject, one that's going to make you just as angry as the gun subject. And with that, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rich Waters for Jim Vick Auto Sales. For those of you that know me, you know that my family and I have dealt with Jim Vick for more years than we'd like to admit. I've always known Jim as a look you in the eye and deal on a handshake kind of guy. You may have heard that Jim retired recently, but I'm here to set the record straight. Jim is still selling great-looking, clean, exclusive cars at his new location just down the street from his former location. He's now at 2091 Broadway, and he keeps a display of his best cars right there for you to see and drive. Let my friend Jim Vick put you in the right car on your budget. Jim Vick Auto Sales, now at 2091 Broadway in North Bend. Jim will work with you all the way to make sure you have the car and the deal you want. As Jim Vick himself would say, wait a minute. Here he is to say it himself.
Remember, if I can't save you money, I don't deserve your business.
Jim Vick Auto Sales.
In just a fast few minutes from right now, you can have life insurance for up to $500,000 without taking a medical exam and without leaving your home. We're Fast Life, and we're going to make this easy and fast. Odds are that you don't have enough insurance, or you're paying way too much for what you got, or you don't have any, and that's not good. Listen, nobody likes to think about life insurance, but we're grown-ups now, so call and protect your family. 1-800-254-9567, or go to fastlife.life. You've got insurance? That's great, but you may be able to get more coverage and pay less than what you're paying now. And with no medical exam, you can get it right over the phone, and that's fast. Faster than a speeding bullet? No, but fast. And we also said we make it easy. So call and get quotes, then submit an application over the phone, and that's it. And that's easy. Get approved, and coverage starts instantly. And that's fast. Faster than the speed of light? No, but fast. Call 1-800-254-9567 or go to fastlife.life. Fastlife.life. It's revolutionary. It's Fast Life.
If you run your own business, when you're not on the job, you're on the road. In your van. Signs that say detour and do not enter are just plain bad for business. Well, here's a sign that's great for business. It says 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance on Mercedes-Benz Sprinter or Metris vans. Powerful, capable, and affordable. That's Mercedes-Benz Van Power. With pioneering safety technologies and low total cost of ownership, Mercedes-Benz vans are the right choice for your business. Check out the full lineup of Mercedes-Benz vans starting at just $25,995. 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance. That's van power for all. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Starting at price for first to base model Metris Worker Cargo Van. Excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep fee. Please see your dealer or go to mvvans.com for further details and exclusions.
Are your medical bills piling up due to cancer or another serious illness? You are not alone. Many people face this challenge. Here's how Coventry Direct can help. You can receive an immediate cash payment by selling your life insurance policy. If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may be eligible to sell your policy, even a term policy. To find out if you qualify, call Coventry Direct today at 1-800-510-2800 to speak to one of our policy specialists. That's 1-800-510-2800. The cash you receive from selling your policy can be used to help pay medical bills or whatever you choose to give you financial security and peace of mind. Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-510-2800 or visit us at coventrydirect.com. Coventry Direct, giving you the cash you need when you need it most. Coventry Direct is a marketing company and will refer qualified policies to a licensed entity.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again here on the Rob Taylor Report. And we're talking about the craziness that's going on out there. And you don't have to go far to find the craziness. Tonight, they're having a meeting in Bandon, and you're going to love this. Boy, those jokers on the city council there, I don't know where they get their thought patterns from. I don't know where they come up with their ideas over there in Bandon. I sometimes think that there must be something in City Hall that's leaking up, some type of vapors, and obviously just disturbing their mind because they are obviously disturbed. But tonight, anyone who lives in Bandon, if you're in a city of Bandon, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do this thing called a road diet. Now, for me, that's called traffic congestion. But they call it road diet. Don't you love how they change and twist the words on it? So when you're up there testifying about this road diet, make sure and call it what it is, a traffic congestion law. And what they're going to do is they're going to cut down the 2 lanes. Well, actually, it's 4 lanes right now in Bandon. Most of Bandon has 4 lanes, and then there's the center lane. Well, they want to cut it down to only one lane on each side. And I understand why they want to do this, because at Fillmore in the mornings, it's hard to turn left at the Fillmore light. And it would be really nice to have a light there, and it's hard to do that if you have an even numbered of lanes. But they don't have to cut down the whole damn town to only 2 lanes when we have 4 lanes right now. That's called road congestion. And it's just something that you people better pay attention to, because they're going to do it to you, and we can't do anything about it, because unlike an ordinance, this is going to be a contractual agreement that the city is making with the Department of Transportation, which knows absolutely nothing about transportation. But these guys over there are going to work together with the Department of Transportation, and they're entering into a contractual agreement, which makes it administrative and not legislative in its nature, which that's just the way it goes, folks. But if it was legislative, they would have to pass an ordinance. And if they passed an ordinance, then I could file a referendum on it. And I guarantee you overnight I could get enough signatures to put that on the ballot. But they're going to enter into a contract which makes it administrative. So that, once again, is not going to be up for a referendum. But if many of you showed up, like all my neighbors who, when we were talking about it, do you all remember this? We were all talking about this. And when everyone was angry, well, tonight, if you can miss the game or miss the whatever's on, America's Most Wanted in Mexico or The Bachelor or, whatever show you're watching, if you can just put that off tonight, head over to the Bandon City Council at the Bandon City Hall at 7 o'clock tonight. Please don't yell at them, because they're very delicate flowers over there. They're very delicate and sensitive because, you have to be delicate and sensitive when they're taking away every last thing you own. And in this case, they're taking one more lane from me when it's already hard to get onto the 101 from my side street where I live in Bandon. So this is a very bad idea. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing in the city council, but then I never thought they knew what the hell they were doing. I'm going to have one of these city councilors on here. Maybe I'll call Peter Braun or someone over there who still may have a few, brain cells left and ask them what the hell is going on over there. If they're smoking crack, okay, all right, just, let us know. But, yeah, so if you're in Bandon, you may want to get there. And with that, hey, we're gonna talk to one of our favorite people over at Tom and Gigs. We've got Tim on the line. Hey, Tim, you with me?
Yeah, but you can't yell at me because you might hurt my poor feelings. Jeez, what a joke these people are. Grow up here,
Yeah, no kidding. You took the job, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You can get them out of there. Get them the hell out of there. So all you can do is get that ballot box going.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, other than that, I'm having a great time. I mean, it's great to live in America where we have some freedom, and we always need more freedom. But anyway, we can work on just about anything you want. We can do just about anything you want, whether it's auxiliary lighting or just basic brake job, alignments. Austin's awesome on all that stuff. He's really loving the alignment thing. We got all new state equipment, which makes a big difference when you're doing especially new cars now with all the electronic steering, adaptive stuff. You actually have to reprogram part of the car to actually make it know it's going straight, not around a corner.
Wait a minute. You got to tell your computer that you're going straight, huh?
Yeah, when you realign it, so your steering if you don't do that and correct that and reprogram that when you align a lot of these new cars, it will actually think it's supposed to go left by itself, and it will do it by itself, and you will crash.
Oh, man, that sounds like those planes that have been crashing because they've got that sensor that's, automatically puts them into a nosedive, and then the pilot. Wow, that's incredible. These new sensors are something else.
They've got the wrong passengers on those planes is the problem. They should have stopped in D.C. at the DNC. And
that's true.
First, and then we would have been styling. So, not that I wish anything bad on them, of course. So I'm sure they have my best interest in mine too. But yeah, RC cars, man, we got tons of this stuff. People are really getting ready for summer. They're getting their campers done, their trucks done, and of course the kids enjoy their toys as well. And they have RC cars to play, so we can supply them, fix them up if they need their little car repaired. A big car, a little car. You need air cleaners on your vehicle. You need windshield wipers. You need a lift kit, leveling kit, whatever it might be to make your truck your own. we can sure do it for you. And Josh is really sharp at finding, we can pretty much compete with the internet too. By the way, a lot of people they go up on the internet. Why didn't you buy it from us? Sometimes we can beat the price.
Right.
So it always pays at least check, at least give us a chance. And if we can meet it or beat it, then you don't have to call somebody 2,000 or 3,000 miles away that doesn't really care. If they have a problem, you can bring it right back here. We'll try to deal with it. So it makes a big difference. Service, shop local first. Try anyway. I always do. And then if I can't, then I try to do whatever I can to find it. But anyway, yeah, everything you're saying is true. It's just these people, you working for the people or you working for yourself?
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's this Blaise Pascal, he lived in the 1600s, and said, the truth is so obscure in these times, and falsehood is so established that unless we love the truth, we cannot know it. And apparently they don't think we can see the truth. People are starting to hopefully open their eyes and their mind to a little critical mass thinking. And like you and several of us, asking questions, they better have some good answers. And don't be stupid on your reply, Think about it. So, yeah, it'd be neat to go down there tonight. I encourage people to do it because they see people in numbers. They get a little nervous.
Oh, they do.
And then, you're going to answer my question. And you're on the taxpayer dollar there, bucko. So,
it's funny. Every time we go there with a big crowd, it's so much different than when I'm just there by myself because their attitude all of a sudden changes. All of a sudden they get that, butt clench, where they look like, oh, boy, I'm going to have to actually do something here. And it's so funny. I love going there with a huge crowd.
Oh, yeah. It's time to, be Americans again. Stand up and fight.
Yeah.
What you believe is the truth. People want to just, we've kind of gotten apathetic and just saying everything's going to be okay. They're going to do the right thing. No, they have to be washed just like a child. And sometimes they have to have their hands slapped just like a child.
Yep.
Because that's what they act like.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's unbelievable. Well, anyway, buddy, one of these days we'll be holding on to those councils and we'll straighten it out.
Sounds good to me.
All right, brother. Well, you keep up the good work. 541-888-4660, 135 South Shonen, Coos Bay. Stop by, give us a call. Stop by and say hi or whatever, and we'll try to help you out.
Good deal. Thank you so much, Tim.
Appreciate you being on, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Tim. They had the second. We were talking about in the first hour with Jeff Reynolds, and we were talking about one of the reasons that the person who was picked for the new Secretary of State to replace Dennis Richardson, one of the first things she did was fire all of the Dennis Richardson people, which is something the Republicans should start doing when you take over. Don't be afraid to fire them. I mean, it's, and I hear this from Republicans all the time. Well, we just want to go along to get along and all that BS. I don't want to get along with commies. I don't want to get along with fascists. I'm done getting along. You go along and you get along, you're going to end up with tyranny. So please, 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 this is, you listen to these people and it's almost enough to drive you speechless, which is kind of difficult if you're a radio show host. But the Secretary of State did do an audit, and this was done during the Dennis Richardson administration. And it questions how Oregon spent some of the $11.6 billion received for federal programs in 2018. And not all of that $11.6 billion went to, I guess it did. But it says here, the Oregon Secretary of State's annual financial audit of state agencies that received federal dollars uncovered a number of concerning issues, including questionable cost and data errors within the foster care and other welfare programs. The audit takes a sweeping look at federally funded programs, and in some cases examines small sample sets in order to determine potential patterns. The review of the 2018 fiscal year found the Department of Human Services officially had not properly tracked payments to welfare recipients under the Federal Temporary Assistance to Needy Families program. That's food stamps. That program led to overpayment in some cases. The review also found inaccuracies in identifying who is eligible for assistance, a recurring problem that the state has faced since 2010. In a review of 60 foster care cases, this is 60 foster care cases in Oregon, the audit reported several instances in which the state did not completely do a complete criminal background check or properly vet prospective foster homes. In conjunction with those findings, auditors questioned as much as $800,000 in costs. A lawsuit against the state raised questions about why welfare workers had placed a 7-year-old boy and his dad in Gresham, when a background check revealed that the man had a violent past. And that's one of the things that they are questioning in this audit. Why is this happening in our state? And I'll tell you why, because you got a bunch of liberals who are giving a lot of mouth service to how they care about the children. Oh, they care so much about the children, but yet they do these audits on the Secretary of State to find out how they spent billions of dollars from the federal government, and guess what? They've misappropriated the money. They've spent it on things they shouldn't have spent it on. Well, I'm going to tell you even more about this when we get back, but first, we're going to do a contest giveaway. My favorite part of the show. And for one of the best restaurants in town, Lucky Star. One of my favorites. If you are a person who's new to Coos County and you're looking for some incredibly good food, and they don't just serve Asian food. They serve many different American dishes there as well. And I recommend them. They've got a steak that is to die for, I heard. I don't know. I'm pretty partial to their sesame seed chicken, so who knows? But the house special, that's what we're giving away, includes the barbecue pork, sweet and sour pork, fried shrimp, spring roll, pork fried rice, and pork chow mein. And you can get this coupon for a free meal if you're the third caller at 541-267-2124. And with that, we'll be right back.
For 20 years, the Oregon Firearms Federation has been Oregon's only no-compromise voice for gun rights. While other organizations who claim to speak for gun owners made deals to bargain away your liberty and property, often stood face-to-face with the gun grabbers in Salem to protect your rights. But there's never been a more dangerous time to be a gun owner in Oregon, and we need your help. To become part of the fight for Second Amendment rights and to sign up for free legislative alerts, please visit our website at OregonFirearms.org. That's OregonFirearms.org.
Well, I was driving across town when my car got down, started lurching and trying to die. Well, luckily there was a shop, and when it struggled to a stop, a nice fella met me right outside. I said, "Man, something's wrong. What the heck is going on?" He said, "I tell you this, I got no doubt. You just relax and don't you worry. We can fix it in a hurry, 'cause your car is what we're all about. We do it all."
Bayshore Auto and RV Repair, your one-stop shop for all your automotive and RV mechanical repairs. Stop by and see Jeff and his friendly staff on Bayshore Drive in Coos Bay.
The clear leader, Herbal Choices. Join the Herbal Choices happy family for best selection. 100 strains, always fresh. Unlike stores that always have the same old products, there's always something new at Herbal Choices. 100 strains and growing. And check Jim Belushi's new harvest. Just in again and better than ever at Herbal Choices. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. And online at theherbalchoices.com.
Hey, Jim Belushi here. Herbal Choices on the southern Oregon coast is where you can find my new harvest. Belushi's Private Vault. Check it out.
And reasons are clear. With 100 strains, Herbal Choices sells so much product that everything is always fresh. And there seems to be something new every time I see my Herbal Choices happy family. All our friends agree. The clear winner is Herbal Choices. The only choice.
Check it out. It's the only choice.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
I'm the third generation of our family-owned and operated business, Raging Coffee Company. For a quarter of a century, we have been providing some of the best coffee around. We are NOP certified organic by Oregon Tilt since 2007, and we make it easy by offering free shipping from our website, RagingCoffeeCo.com. That's RAYJEN CoffeeCo.com. You can find packaged coffee at historic Wilson's Market or the Beverage Barn in Bandon. Give it a try. Raging Coffee. You'll be hooked.
And now, here's some food for thought from Jim Bice.
This past week, the witch hunt against President Donald Trump came to an end. All the lies and deception by the Democrats and the fake news media were exposed for all to see. Of course, many of them are now making up excuses for why they were wrong, or even worse, denying the outcome of the almost 2-year investigation that turned up absolutely nothing relating to any wrongdoing whatsoever by the president or his family. With that big lie exposed, maybe we should turn our attention to another of the Democrats and media's big lies, man-made climate change. Our own Oregon legislature, even as I speak here, is considering inflicting a cap-and-trade energy scheme on the people of this state. Of course, this is necessary to save the planet from man-made climate change. So let's consider their reasoning. The United States represents about 5% of the world's population and is one of the most environmentally responsible countries in the world. Oregon represents a little less than 2% of the United States population and has some of the most restrictive land use and environmental laws in the country. With the tiny amount that Oregon may or may not contribute to climate change, can anyone justify the burden the legislature wants to inflict on us? But from the perspective of the elitist Marxist Democrats in Salem, this scam is necessary. Since the voters in Oregon have turned down a sales tax numerous times, this is just another attempt to dig deeper into your pocket. This cap-and-trade scheme is little more than a hidden tax on virtually everything that is manufactured or grown, transported, or operates on fossil fuels. Not only will it cost more to drive your car and heat and light your home, but virtually everything you use will go up in price, including food and clothing. Now let's look at the big lie itself. The Democrats and the fake news media would have you believe there are many so-called in-depth studies on climate change, and they're right to a point. The problem is they only cite and publicize those studies that fit their agenda of man-made climate change. Many of the so-called new studies they cite are nothing more than another analysis of already disproven computer models. There are actually more and more inclusive studies that indicate that the Earth is indeed warming at a rate of a little less than 1 degree Celsius per century, and has been since the end of the last ice age. That warming rate has remained largely unchanged. Almost all credible studies based on actual observation and research point out that the sun drives the climate on planet Earth, not the activities of mankind. Although they use the scare tactics of melting glaciers, rising oceans, and more violent weather, none of these things have materialized, except temporarily in some areas. Yet day in and day out, we hear the lying Democrats and fake news media making pronouncements of doom and gloom if we don't shut down our economy and go back to an early 1900s lifestyle. They even teach us crap in the schools, and the young people, having no life experience or other reference point, actually believe it. Maybe the schools should be sued by the parents for teaching their children things that are nothing more than unproven Marxist propaganda. But many people are true believers, just as they believe President Trump colluded with the Russians to change the 2016 election. But that has now been proven to be a gigantic lie, and the climate change scam is a big lie too. Since the 1970s, we've heard the same line of crap. The world is going to end if we don't give up our money and our rights. And if any of these prophets of doom had been correct, none of us would be here now. Just as with everything else the lying Democrats and fake news media promote, illegal immigration, killing babies after they're born, taxing and regulating businesses and the wealthy out of the country, disarming the American people, and more, this is just another of their efforts to deprive us of our money, our individual liberties, and our very culture. and turn us into a Marxist utopia where the government controls every aspect of your life and you are no longer an individual but a member of some elitist defined group. Just some food for thought.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And I want to thank Jim Bice for giving us a little bit of food for thought. Something that to go along with that, they just stopped testing vehicles in Washington State because the vehicles, well, they've become so clean that there's no reason to test them, which is our argument all along, that manufacturers don't want a dirty planet. Companies and capitalists don't want dirty companies. They don't want to poison their children with lead or any poisons. They care just as much as you do. Believe it or not, they have to live in the same world we live in. And so I always get mad that these politicians always try to demonize capitalists and inventors and corporations especially. Well, I got news for you. Corporations are the ones who are leading the forefront of making things cleaner, making things more profitable, making things cheaper. I mean, that's their goal in the end, is to make life better for us because it makes life better for them. And I'm not saying they're doing it because they're great great charitable people, but these entrepreneurs, they are trying to do this for themselves and become richer, become more, owning more stuff and grow their company and grow corporations and make a profit. And there's nothing wrong with making a profit. We're capitalists. And the market's really not about getting rich. It's about being able to provide for your family without having to work yourself to death. You know, that's what we want, a market that we can all survive in. But the only way to do that is to make it a more free and fair market. And so when they were doing these emission tests, and by the way, they're still doing it in Oregon, and you know why? Because they need the money, not because they want to help us with the emissions. Because, in fact, in some counties, they don't even check for the emissions. And in some counties, it's only going to hurt the people who are at the poorest, lowest economic on the ladder, economic rung on the ladder. And so these people are going to be the ones who suffer the most. But yet, the technology, and this is what I was arguing when I was fighting against the banned in dark skies ordinance. They kept saying, we need to replace these bulbs because they're old bulbs and they emit light pollution. Light pollution. Yeah, there's a crazy idea there too. But the fact is that one of the arguments that I had for not having the ordinance, because it imposed lighting restrictions on people who owned private property, was because I knew, and most people know, that lighting is just going to get better. We have better lighting today than ever before. I've got a mag light, one of those big mag flashlights. Well, I used to have one that was one of the old bulbs in it that wasn't an LED, and I got the new LED, and the old light, which use an incandescent bulb. It's one of the old-fashioned bulbs. It's not nearly as bright, not even half as bright as the new mag light that I have. And I knew that this light is much better, and the lighting that they're putting up industrial-wise is all more directional. It's motion-activated. So we are creating better products so that we have less pollution, and all of that is being done without government. In fact, we never really need these emission standards because eventually we would have gotten to where we're at today. And that's where we have vehicles that emit almost no pollution, and we're getting 35 to 40 miles per gallon. In fact, in my little Sentra, I was tabbing it up, and I get about 37 miles to the gallon. I mean, and it only takes me $20 to fill that sucker up, and I can get all the way across Oregon on that tank of gas. So everything's getting better, and if government would get the hell out of the way of corporations, their products, their innovations, their ingenuity is going to bring us a better quality product no matter what that product is. And that is true in medicine. And that's why we need to get government out of medicine, out of our lives, stop taking away our guns, and stop taxing us to death. Well, if you can hear that music, it's almost time again. It's almost time to say goodbye, and I hope you all can join me next week because we're going to have another exciting show. We're going to be practicing a little more political therapy. And we're going to be talking more about the issues, and I hope you join me. And so until next week, you all carry on, Coos County. Carry on.